Okay, we'll start with seemingly a side point, something that's, a side, you would think is a side issue in the parasha, but we'll demonstrate that it's actually the whole mahus of the Sefer Shmos and the transition that's happening. So Paro gives a gzera called Ben Hayilod Hayot Tashchol called Bas Techayim, right? So that term also came lost to Kasher Diver, like Kasher Diver Maltzai, but translated, and it says the Miyaldos Shifra Pua, or you, Chazal tells you Yocheved and Miriam, they feared God, and therefore they did not do what Paro said, right? And then the emphasis is that they were fearing of God, and then the Chumash doubles down on that and says Vayi ki yoru hamiyaldos esolokim, doubles down again on that because they had Yiras Shemayim and then Vayitev Elokim Lamiyaldos Vayasem Batim, right? Which Chazal Darshan, Batim, Rashi brings part of the Chazal. Bate Kahuna, Bate Levia, Bate Malchus, because from Yocheved comes Moshe and Aaron, and that's one's a Kohen, the other one's a Levi, and ultimately, Aaron married into the mishpacha of David Melech. He married Elisheva Bas Aminadav. So ultimately, the Zerah Melucha also comes from there. Also, so it's Bate Kuna, Bate Levia, Bate Malchus is the full lashon of Chazal, and it seems to be a mida keneged mida for Kiyora Miyados Elokim, right? That would have mind. Like you would think that the emphasis would be on the humanitarian, thing that they save lives. They save lives, right? We say no because it was the Kiyora Miyados Elokim, right? Torah doubles down on that. And now here's an amazing thing: you will find all these always together, whether it's in Halo, Yomuna Yisrael Kim Chazo, Yomuna Beis Chazo, Yomuna Beis Halevi Kilam Chazo, Yomuna Yirei Hashem, right? Or elsewhere, Beis Yisrael Baruch Hashem, Beis Amos Beis Hashem, Beis Hashem Yirei Hashem Baruch Hashem, right? So these batim are always sandwiched together with Yiras Shamayim, right? Halo Davaru. It's like to look into. So, as we go on in the Chumash, right? There's Ma'amad Har Sinai, where there's Vayachrat Kol Masher B'Machane, right? There was a lot of yira, right? Right. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu, when he recaps, says Levar Tia Yiras Hashem Al Pneichem Lebilti Techato. That's why Matan Torah was done with such fanfare. Yiras Hashem Al Pneichem Lebilti Techato. And then after that, the next step after Matan Torah in Sefer Shmos is Binyan HaMishkan. Right? So throughout there's this halach of Moira HaMikdash. Shait Shishmoro Mikdashi Tiro Ani Hashem. So Ani Hashem, Chazal say, that you might have a Havamir, that you have the Moira of the Mikdash is out the Mikdash Kufa. No, Ani Hashem, it's because of the covenant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that's in the Shechina. Lomi from Yamishkan to Misha Misha Tziva. Right? But there's a common theme over here from the Miyaldos. To the tremendous yira that there was by Matan Torah, which is the next major milestone at the time, to the din of Moira HaMikdash that there is, perpetually. Right? So, so the interesting thing is, earlier in our history, right, there was the Akedah. Right? So, Ata Yadati Ki Yirei Elokim Ata, V'lo Chasachtas Bin Chazichitcha, right? Hashem Yeroeh. This is where Hashem will be revealed. It's a Yeroeh, same Isis as Yira, but already then, when Avram Avinu got the title Yirei Elokim, right? That's where Har HaMoniyah was consecrated to be the Makam HaMikdash. Again, following suit that there's some qualifying factor of the Makam HaMikdash that it's a Makam of Yira. Makam of Yira. Yeah, Yerushalayim. Now, of course, and Yerushalayim is it is the Mikdash per se. got expanded also. Right? so, so let's take it from this angle. Right? We say that a place where people are learning. Right? So that's a makom Torah. Right? So a place where people are studying physics, is that a makom physics? What? Right. I mean, yeah. It's as if it's if let's say you're studying physics, right? So what's taking up space is the rump is what's taking up space, right? And you just so it's a makom for you to park yourself, right? And you just happen to be talking in physics, right? Let's say, or doing business, whatever it is, right? So the question is like when it was let's say a makom Torah. So it's lav dafka. It's lav dafka. It's just people are parked there, and instead of talking physics, they're learning Torah. Or is it mamash that literally, when Chazal say have a goyle lemakom Torah, right? There's such a thing. There's a chefza of makom Torah. Like the Torah itself is in that space. That the makom holds whoever's in there. The makom is holding Torah. What do you say?
No, about the Torah is it's a real thing. It's taka the room is a room of Torah.
All right, so
it's above space.
Also, Torah is basically makom Torah doesn't necessarily mean you learn there. It means that the Torah is what guides the place. It doesn't have to be necessarily about a base. I should say it about a city that it's a makom Torah because
look, Lakewood, you're a Torah.
Lakewood.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, there's an idea that the Torah elevates an area, no?
So listen. So from halacha, there's a thing of kedushas beis hamedrash, which is hecher. It's more chomer than kedushas beis haknesses, right? Which a big raya. But you find in the Mishnah in Avos, which really is describing this, where there's the Mishnah brings 5 that are learning Shechina Imayim. Right? And even one who's learning Shechina Imo. Yeah. And the term Shechina means that's the aspect of Elokus that's V'shachanti B'socham. Like, come on, like Kvod Hashem Molei Asam Mishkan. Shechina Imo. Even one who's shown it. And where did he learn it from? From Choma Koma Asher Askir Eshmi, Avolecha B'rachticha, which is at the end of Matan Torah. At the end of Parshas Yisrael, which literally Parshas is talking about the Makom HaMikdash, right? Is where this divine name is, right? And we find Zochem Shemesh Li Yirei Shmi, right? You say Yirei Shemaim, you can say Yirei Hashem, you can say Yirei Shmi, right? Year of the Shem, which is Shochen in the Beis HaMikdash, and when one person's learning, there's also that kedusha there. But the truth is, it's a medrash in Parshas Truma. It's not, just happened to have been, Matan Torah was historically before Binyan HaMishkan. That's not the pshat, right? Says the Medrash in Parshas Truma that, it's the very first Medrash there, right? That V'yikli Truma Hadot Tichsev Ki Lekach Tov Nasati Lachem Torasi Al Ta'azovu, and the Medrash says that when we got the Torah, we got God with it. Because it was killed Nimkar Ima. We got God with it. God now belongs to us, Kiviyachol, because we have his Torah. And then the Medrash finishes off with a mashal. That a melech was Mesi, his Bas Yechida, to some prince. And the melech says to the prince, look, I can't tell you not to take your wife, because she's your wife. But I can't live without her either, right? So Zos Asu Kitun Echad Va'odru Beinechem. Make me a little room so I can always come and visit. And says the marriage, that was, the tzivah of Binyan HaMishkan after HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah. Right? I mean, think about it for a second. Matan Torah. The Baruch Hu gave the Torah. Right? He gave the Torah. Informed us of what's written in the Torah. Right? When you do your insider trading. Now, of course, right? It's called that. The information was given. You just megala the information. Information you just have to reveal to others. You think information is something, something solid that you could, give. That And yet the Torah is, the Torah, is kiviyachol. It's given. Vayer Hashem ahar Sinai melamed shehirchen elyonim al tachtonim. Right? It's an amazing davar nifla about Torah, even though it's above all the sciences, but still it's alive. The sciences are just information. Information is everywhere. And if a place where you're learning more science, there isn't more science in that room than outside of that room. It's information. Information is everywhere yet nowhere. Right? And when you hand over information, you haven't given something over, you've just made them aware of the information that's out there. Right? Did the information increase in the world? If two people know it, it's the same information. Just more people are aware of it. That's not the case with Torah. Right? Torah's mamish, the phenomenon that's mavil al rayon, is that Torah really takes up space. It's nislabish in makom. Right? Similarly to how the neshama takes up space in the guf. Right? And because Torah mamish is manifest in space, that's the shorish of why the Shechina comes down, and the Shechina is in space, and we have to build a mishkan. Right? And now, and kaidu the Torah's kulo shemos of Shakadosh Baruch Hu, or say it like this: any gilu elokus is besod the shame. Right, that's how Rebbe Hashem reveals himself, through the divine names. So Torah's called Shemos of Shakadosh Baruch Hu. The makom, the Mishkan is called Hamakom Asher Askir Shmi. Makom Asher Yivchar Hashem Leshakein Shmo Sham. Right, the Mount Shem Shemaim, which is beside the Torah, takes up space. Right? And this is an amazing thing, that since Torah takes up space, so you would think that, if that's the case, so if I teach you what I know, so then did the Torah now move from me to you, and I will forget what I know because I just taught it to you? Because if it's a solid object, if you have it, I don't have it. Is that the case with Torah? So it's an amazing chazal that could be, just that explains this miraculous phenomenon that, the Gemara says, it's a chazal, that if there's one lawyer in town and one doctor in town, and the lawyer will teach the doctor law, and the doctor will teach the lawyer medicine, they both just went down in value. Because he had a monopoly on all the medicine, and he had a monopoly on all the legal work that needs to be done. They broke each other's monopolies. They both lost out. They should have just kept their but that's not the case. If one Talmud Chacham knows Seder Nezikin, and the other one knows Seder Noshim, and he teaches him Nezikin, he teaches him Noshim, now they both profited, because now he knows two starim and he knows two starim. So by the secular things, you broke the monopoly by sharing the knowledge. By Torah, it's not that way. It's an amazing thing that, when you give over Torah, so Torah will now be there, mamish, manifest, and the Shechina follows the Torah. I feel echad v'shona Shechina imo, right? Even one, without depleting my Torah. So it calls out that there's two Seder Nezikins. Now there's two Seder Noshim. It's davar nifla about Torah, right? It's part of it in the sense that, that's correct. The more Torah does not come at the expense of, if more people know Torah, it doesn't become devalued. It just expands, and the Torah will stay by the person who had it, and also branch out to be that person who he taught. It's a nifla mode, and it's all beginner tfisas makom. Right, and which means that there's more kedusha in the world. There's more kedusha. The world will change the more Torah that there's here, because Torah takes up space. So the world is going to start evolving because of all the kedusha that's manifest. Right? So it's called the world becomes a makom Torah. Right, right. But here's the question: what causes it to stick? Because Torah is ruchnius, and ruchnius is lamala from makom. Right? What causes the Torah to stick to Gashmias? And if the Torah sticks to Gashmias, then the Shechina also comes down, and the Shechina could be in the Mishkan, right? And basically, what is the secret? What's the glue that holds it down to earth? Which, by the way, that because this problem is a real one, and that's why Chazal say about Torah that it's kosher the konoson kizav v'noach la'abdon klei schuches. You could lose your Torah learning like that if you don't chazer constantly. Right? It's easy to lose like glass. And the Maharal explains, because the Torah is be'etzem ruchni, And if you don't actively invest in keeping it by you, it's going to recoil back to its natural place in heaven. And that's why, Torah is like an amazing thing about Torah. If you don't stick with it, it's more easily forgotten than, the cartoons you used to watch. It's right. Oh, you guys don't know what that is, right? Right. It's amazing. So, which makes the kasha stronger. So Torah is naturally, its natural places in heaven, right? It's artificially here, right? And that's why it's noach la'abdan keklei schuchis, right? So what's the glue? What holds it? Well, right? Yeah. So what is the glue that holds it? So that's the inyan that we find a lashon in the psukim. Yiras Hashem hi otzaro. Right? Yiras Hashem hi otzaro. And that's what the Gemara in Shabbos Lamal said when it invokes it. Amura Seder's Roim and Itecha Seder's Seder Moed, etc., etc. V'afal pikein Yiras Hashem hi otzaro. Without Yiras Shemaim, it's not miskayim. Without Yiras Shemaim, it's not miskayim. Right? If you don't mix in a little bit of Yiras Shemaim, you'll forget it all. It won't have a kiyum. It's the oitzor. It's the storehouse. Right? Right, and now we find a lashon Chazal, Ein la korshku bo lomo ela otzro shel yiras shamayim. Now, seemingly that contradicts another Chazal, that miyom shenechva beis mikdashein al korshku bo lomo el dal amashal lacha bilvad. So is it dal amashal lacha bilvad, right? Or is it or is it the otzar of yiras shamayim? Right? So now, the yiras shamayim is all God has in the world, right? And yet it says, Ma Hashem Elokecha Shom Kim Liyiro. So it's like the one thing Rebbe Shem asks. I don't know. I know of Taryag mitzvahs. The one thing Rebbe Shem asks. Right? So there's two aspects to this, right? There's, first of all, to explain this fully. What does it mean? Hakol bidei Shemaim chutz mi Yiras Shamayim.
One thing you have to work on.
Yeah, well, it's more than that. Because, right, chutz mi Yiras Shamayim, says the Ramchal, the Das Tvunas, right? That means the bechira, right? We have free will, right? What's the shorish of free will? Where does it come from? They were able to choose even against our teva. Right? All the other nivroim, they have a teva that they're stuck in, and the koach habechira is like free. You could choose against your teva latov, or God forbid, you could do a lot of damage, even more than what your teva forces you. The movable piece is Yiras Shamayim, right? That's the avodas ha'adam. The avodas ha'adam that gives him bechira is Yiras Shamayim, because every time we choose what the Rebbe Shem wants, it should be out of Yiras Shamayim, that we acknowledge that he's king and he's boss, right? And that should be the sense from which the bechira comes from, acknowledgement of his malchus, of hadar gaono, right? He's boss, and we have to submit to his will, right? That's Yiras Shamayim, so it gives the nakudas habechira, right? But it's more that Yiras Shamayim, right? And it's all interconnected, because bechira is how we do our mitzvahs that change the world. What you don't do with bechira is not poil cosmically. Right? And the Rambam already worked out the cheshbon and Shemona Prakim. You show me where man has free will, I'll show you that there's a mitzvah there. Or vice versa. If you tell me there's a mitzvah, if the Rebbe was mitzvah, it means it's totally in bechira. Right? The actions that we do b'bechira, in the words of the Ramchal, in the Derech Hashem, is that those are the maisim that go bottom up. We initiate it with our free will on earth. It reverberates in heaven, makes a roishem in the roots of reality, and the change made up there trickles down, and that's how mitzvahs change the world, right? And that's why hakol bidei shor, everything is top down. Chutz mi Yiras Shamayim is bottom up. When you do with your bechira, those maisim climb up and reverberate and change the heavens, right? But there's a deeper reason why Yiras Shamayim is the makor of bechira, because the task of the bechira, right, is to change the world, which has the objective that there should be gilui elokus in the world, right? There should be gilui elokus that's chal on you, and that's what's going to evolve you to being from just flesh, blood, and fat, right, to being Roy for Tchias HaMesim, and Roy for Olam Haba, right? And it's what changes the world. Olam Haba is right here. This world, changes form. That's why we do want climate change. It's this world, right? The polar caps will melt. Like the Gemara says in the Elef Hashvi, it's water everywhere, and then it's rebuilt. This world is used to climb, to be above all the higher olamas, right? And this world evolves because of all the elokus that we bring into it, right? Yiras Shamayim is the cosmic glue that causes elokus to stick. Right? And that's why it's the makor of Bechira that we make to change the world and change ourselves, that these maisim go up and there's a response for every good thing that you do. It goes up, Reboshem response with a certain hashros kedusha in return. That's chal on you and chal on the parallel of you in the world. You and your, however you're hooked up to in the cosmos. Right? So says the Ramchal in the Derech Hashem in Chelik Revi, the zgula of Yiras Shamayim is that it causes Hashros Hashchina. So now you understand, when Avraham Avinu got the Madrega of Atedat Kirel Kimata, that's that Mokom. Wasn't just Stam, he's Yiras Shamayim. But the Mokom, where he demonstrated it, is Har Hashem Yirah, where there's going to be Gili Elokus here. That's what Yirah does. So Yirah does it for the individual. Yirah does it for the space that individual occupies. That space could be a makom for kedusha, a makom Torah, right? That's the glue, right? So, and that's why bechira, which is to make these maisim that get a response that cause a hashras kedusha, they have to be done mitoch Yiras Shamayim. That's why Yiras Shamayim is the makor for bechira. That is the engine behind these maisim that get a response of hashras kedusha. Right? So now you know, right, what it means that the midah keneged midah, right? That they showed Yiras Shamayim when they saved the Jewish people, because they weren't just being humanitarians. They were Shifra and Paul were not working for the Red Cross, right? They were they understood the tachlis of Klal Yisrael, which we reached this tachlis in Sefer Shmos. The others got promises, like Rashi says in the beginning of Parashat Vayera. The others just got a lot of promises, right? They built up promises. They built up credit. But that credit went from potential to actual, gets actualized with Yitzias Mitzrayim. There was going to be Magal Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. There's going to be Hashros Hashchina in the world, right? The others built up credit that it will happen. It happens B'poyal with Yitzias Mitzrayim. Right? That's when all the, as Rashi says, that's when the promises to the others get fulfilled. Right? Why? Because you need an Am. Only an Am is a big enough Kli to hold Kedusha, to hold the Torah that's forever. You can't give the Torah to individuals that's here today and gone tomorrow. But an Am is forever, because Ein Tzibur Mesim, the Gemara says in Tamura. Right? Once it becomes a corporate called the Tzibur, Ein Tzibur Mesim, because all the Doros that will be are part of it, and Lemafre, all the Doros that came for are also part of it. Right? So only an Am is a big enough Kli to hold the Torah, and therefore to be the engine to bring Elokus into the world. So HaKadosh had to wait till the descendants of the Ovis, got big enough to be Shishim Ribo bestowed Am, and that's when the promises get fulfilled. So Avraham Avinu begins the God consciousness, and that's what Malki Tzedek says when he meets Avraham Avinu. Malki Tzedek was a big guy. He was Kohen Lekel Elyon, but Kel Elyon, the God above, not the God that's here. Kel Elyon. And then he meets Avraham and says, Baruch Avraham Lekel Elyon, Konei Shamayim Va'aretz. Avraham Avinu began, but he was preaching it, that the Rebbe was to be revealed in Shamayim and Oretz also. But that's, he preaches that. That is Yotze Lepoal in Sefer Shmos. Right? But the yesod of it is Yira. Yira is the glue that enables Hashras Hashchina. That's the miracle of the mitzvah of Yiras Hashem. Right? That's what causes the Torah to stick, and that's what causes the Shechina to stick, and that's why there's a din of Mimikdashi Tiro. Right? And there's when Shimon ben Menashe was Dorach Kola Esim Shebetayra, right, and then he got to Es Hashem El Kechatira, Piresh Kem Shem Kabel Schar Ladrisha, Kalim Kabel Schar Prisha, Achibor Rebekila Darash Es the Rabbos Talmidei Chachamim, right. Because if their Torah is going to stick, you have to have yira from them. Yira is the glue that causes, the Torah. So therefore, what is yira? It's an oitzer. It's an oitzer, right? It's a storehouse where kedusha could be chal, and therefore says the Nefesh Chaim in Shar Daud. There's no steer between what it says. And there's also and Akash Balam Rotz Yerushalayim Bilvad. Where are the Daud Amashal Halacha? Where are they? There's Daud Amshal, which again, the idea that Torah takes up Makom. Daud Amshal is a Makom, right? Daud Amashal Halacha. It's a Makom Shal Adam is the Daud Amos, right? So that's why it's called Daud Amashal Halacha. The Torah that he learns takes up space, right? That's what Chazal mean Maramas on. But where is that space? In the Daud Amashal Halacha is in the Oitzer of Yerushalayim. One is the Kli, and the other is what fills the Kli. So it's not a stira. The Oitzer of Yerushalayim, it's an Oitzer. It's the Kli. And the Dal Sham Halacha is in the Oitzer of Yerushalayim. So both members of Chazal are emes. The Dal, what contains that Torah should be beside Dalad Amis, take up space, is the Oitzer of Yerushalayim. And that's why it's called a bias. Or the Yira is rather the shorish of a bias. That a bias is what holds its inhabitants, right? So Am Yisrael is called Beis Yisrael, right? Why Beis Yisrael? Because we hold the Torah and we hold the Shechina, B'Shachanti B'Socha, right? But more befrat, there's Beis Aaron. The Kohanim cause Hashras HaShechina. There's Beis Halevi also. He also works in the Mikdash, where there's Hashras HaShechina. And the shorish of it all is Yirei Hashem, Baruch Hu Hashem. Because without Yira, all those houses collapse, right? And that's what Malchus is also, right? That's called, the midah of Malchus is the midah of Shechina, Kayidu al pi Kabbalah. The Malchus is the Nukva, which is the midah called Shechina. And that's why there's interesting halacha. Gamrinon and Yeshiva Ba'azar el Malchi Beis David Bilvad, right? They alone are allowed to sit in the Azara because the Melech, is a Gili of Malchus Shemaim, which is the Shechina. That is the Shechina. So he could sit in the Azor. That's his place. Everyone else has to stand because hey, you don't belong here. The Malchei Beis David could sit in the Azor. That's their Malchah. Right? So, you understand that that this message at the beginning of Parasha that Shifra and Pur, they saved Am Yisrael mitoch Yiras Shamayim. It's not a side thing. And it's not a question that you wonder about their priorities. Why don't they just do it for humanitarian reasons? Because no, they understood they have to be Moser Nefesh to save Am Yisrael, right? Because of Yerushalayim, because of the Hashras Hashchina that Am Yisrael is destined to bring into the world, and because that's why they did it, Mitoch Yerushalayim, which is the glue to bring Hashras out, then Vayaslem Batim, that all the Batim that refer to Hashras Hashchina, the Kli to hold the Shechina, came out of them, because that was the sense, that was their mission. And so it's not just Zaitig that happened to happen in Sefer Shmos. This is the Mahus of Sefer Shmos, which is the Sefer of Gilui Elokus, the beginning of Gilui Elokus B'Paul. Because by the Ovis, there were no Nisim Niglim, the Rambam points out in the Mar Nebuchim. Not only that, I don't even got Nevuah. Why do you ever go to Nimrod in the name of God and say you're dead meat? Right? Go to Stone, preach to them. Like Hashem sent Yonah to Nineveh. Right? I really has to argue with God about Stone. Send it, Avram Avinu with the Nevuah to Stone. Let's see. So the Rambam points out in the Mar Nebuchim, the time had not come for Gilui Elokus. So that you will not find in Sefer Bereshit that a Navi, people had Nevuah, but it was a private issue. It was their private. They were not sent in the name of God, to speak in the name of God. And also in the whole Sefer Bereshit, there are no Nisim Niglim. What? Excuse me? Yeah. Who saw it?
What about Aaron and the fire?
Yeah. That's Al Pi Drush. Which means, since it's Al Pi Drush, that means not everyone saw it and everyone was forced to believe it. Right. The Ram makes this cheshbon in the Mar Nevuchim. The first Navi ever sent to the people with a message from God, even Noach.
Yaakov in with the rocks also. I guess you could tell somebody was there.
That's right.
A tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it.
That's right. Right.
What happens if you do something without Yerushalayim? Does it have an effect?
That there you go. So Avram says we don't say Musa here, but okay, we'll say it now. Right. So yeah. So if, without Yira Shemayim, so now if you did something right, and Akoshu Mekapeh Schar Kol Biria, right, you'll get some schar for it, loss of level, but it's not. It doesn't stick. No, but it's more than that. But now you understand. You know that here. I have a daughter at MIT, and God, I need a shidduch for her. You have a PhD in electrical engineering. So it says the Reform rabbi, who's a woman over there, is actually a very intelligent woman and does daf yomi, yom from the art scroll, and probably is more omel and steigzer more than the other people who use the art scroll, right? Okay, so much Torah. Finished daf yomi a few cycles already.
You know what Shmuel Berman said about that family?
What do you say?
I feel the Ivanim does get lost.
No, it's true. It's true. I say we can speak our mind here. There's a safe space. There's a safe space for radicals. There's a safe space.
The Ivanim would have let that family.
Yeah. I say yeah.
I love his beard.
Yeah. No, without Yira Shemaim, it doesn't stick.
It
doesn't make a roishim. A person could finish Shas and and without Yira Shemaim, it doesn't stick. Without Yira Shemaim, it doesn't stick. So right, what?
No, there's my Rebbe said a puzzle from I think Kahal says, right? The lots of litmus. He was basically saying like you look around how much chesed, how much terror, and you think the level that Klai will be on is so much higher. You think the whole a lot of it comes from the point of just trying to lots of litmus.
It doesn't come from the right place.
What? No, it's just you're just trying to get more and more and more and more. You're not, and it's not really done for the correct reason. I can explain why.
Yeah, but Nefesh Chaim says that it's me. You have to do it shalosh ma al minas to come lishma. Nefesh Chaim says that. All right. Yeah, but that's the point that the Yira Shemayim.
When the others did everything they did, right. A lot of credit, let's say.
Yes.
If Klai got to the lowest level of Tumah in Mitzrayim,
right?
How did they know Yira Shemayim? How do they have any? How's anything going on?
So the
second lowest level.
What?
The second lowest.
I'm saying there's no Yira Shemayim going on. So how are you getting? How do they?
No. So to say they do. So right. So the Rambam says in the first parak of Hilchos Avoros Kochavim, when he gives the whole story of Avinu, he says in Mitzrayim we almost kimat nekar ikar sheshas Avram, but me'avas Hashem osanu u'mishvua shenish ba'Avram, it was just out of pure ava and a commitment to the Avos, and that's why we needed the Omer period. To purify, right? And the Zohar says, that Yetzias Mitzrayim is like Hefsek Tara, and the 7 weeks of the Omer is the Shiva Nakim, right? And then Shavuos is the Zivug. Right? We had to. Yetzias Mitzrayim was more on credit than deserved. And during the days Yomer, we have to work to be deserving of what was for the credit extended. But when we deserve it, subsequently, so we say L'mafreya, the Rebbe Shalom's choice is vindicated. But it happens to be the Maharal points out in a few places that the fact that Rebbe Shalom, as a word, just chose us for no reason because it wasn't earned, actually works in our favor, right? It ensures the nitzchias of Klal Yisrael. Because if we were chosen for X, Y, and Z, right? That was the agreement. You stray from X, Y, and Z, the deal's off, right? The Rebbe Shalom didn't choose us for any reason, right? We weren't worthy, right? So it's out of pure chesed. Pure chesed, there's no basis to break the bechira. The Maharal writes this in a few places, so it's like, it actually works to our advantage that no matter how bad we are, the Rebbe Shalom can't be machlufas bu macheres because there was no basis, of deserving in the decision to be bocher in us in the first place. So even though, whatever, we weren't worthy, but, the Rebbe Shalom has his ways of always turning that, turning that latov, and that's what ensures our nitzchias as a people. But B'kitzur, the Yisod Dover is that Yira Shemaim is the glue that makes us a bias for the Shechina, a bias for the Torah that the Torah is not shochin here. Yes.
And you're saying that before in Sefer Bereshis, where there was no new rule, was because there wasn't enough Yira Shemaim in the world.
Well, it was more than that. That to combat how the world was nishchat after Chet Adam Rishon, right? It takes a nation. So now there were Nevi'im, but they had transcendental experiences. It wasn't that the Elokus was revealed within the world, like Malki Tzedek, Kohen Lekel Elyon. No, so he did his meditating, did his fasting, and he had his experience. And it was his personal experience. Rebbe didn't send him with a message to the people. Noach wasn't sent with a message to the people, right? No, well, yeah, Taina Noach, why? Yeah, but Hashem didn't send him. He wasn't a Navi Hakovesh Nevuaso, right? But he was very passive. He just built the Teva and blocked everyone's driveway. But
It wasn't like Yonah, basically.
Yeah.
It wasn't
No,
sent
because
to tell-
Yonah is in after the era of
I'm saying,
Yitzias
he wasn't
Mitzrayim
sent
when
to
the world
tell him
changed.
that
It was a shliach.
He wasn't sent to tell him
Because
that
it's a
he
different
needed to
era.
send
The
him.
world changed permanently by Yitzias Mitzrayim, that it was Gilui Kus. It's a permanent change. That's why Zechel Yitzias Mitzrayim is like we say by all our mitzvahs. Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Ramchal and the Goyen both right. It's the baseline. There's no sinking beneath that. If you say the word God to any guy, he knows what you're talking about. Because of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Leman Saper Shvi B'chol Arts is Gilui Elokus. But this week's parasha, when Moshe first comes to Paro, Lo Yadati Es Hashem. Never heard of the guy. God, what? No, that was the world before Yitzias Mitzrayim. Since Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, then the world
Before
is.
that, they was in the last pair that we discussed it, no?
You knew Yosef. What is that? You know the Rebbe?
No, so I don't know the possibly, but he talks about your God, your father's God, your God. Yosef talking about it.
Yosef talked to the brothers when he was masquerading. Your God gave you a little treasure. When the first time they've discovered their money in their bags. Is that the pasuk you're referring to?
No, I've heard like when Yosef came to see the dream in front of Pari, I think he said, I'm not saying anything, it's Hashem saying it. Hashem's telling me. No?
What?
Right, when Yosef came to Paris, he told him to
No, he said it, but you think Paro?
Yeah, it's not a known thing. It's not.
It didn't strike roots. It didn't stick. Everything bounced off. Yitzias Mitzrayim changed the world. That now Elokus sticks to the world. Now and that's the secret. I'll just say one more thing. That in Ibrior, when we move closer to Tikkun, because we realign the sun and the moon, which is somehow a little bit mitigates the problem. Miut halavana, right? So in the Ibrior we have Shovin Tat, right? In a regular Shona Pshut, just Shovin. So I remember Moshe Shapiro because the based on this from Chal said, the basic baseline of Yitzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, that's irrevocable. The world will never go beneath that floor. That's the new floor, right? And this is when we reach Alpine Torah, right, in the full actuality, and we won't regress to the Alpine Tohu, right? But the added madrega of Binyan Beis HaMikdash, we're not always zocher to that. So now in a Shana Muberes, where the Tikkun is a little bit hecher, kayedua, so it's Shovim Tat. We have the parshas of Binyan HaMishkan, right? Zocher to that additional Gilui Elokus that there is in the Mikdash, which sadly is a madrega that comes and goes, right? But Shana Pshuta, so it's up to Mishpatim, which has another account of Matan Torah at the end. Matan Torah, that's the baseline. That's the baseline of Gilui Elokus. That there'll never be anything less than that. All right, but we should have the Shleimus Mary Amen L'chaim.
Good.